Hello, this is Daniel Vaillant with the Daniel Vaillant Gazette Pod. I thought I had 2 videos uploaded. Are recorded for YouTube, but I was just looking and it looked like both episodes couldn't be uploaded. I don't know the last thing that was said in that video, but it was cut off after about 15 minutes and 45 seconds because it was causing me a lot of storage on my phone. So I'm back on here just to talk about I was going to talk about the Super Bowl, but I already spoke about that in the last video, so this is like part 2 of what I wanted to talk about. NBA, see if there's any news or any information that I want to talk about when it pertains to the NBA. Okay, toward the end of my part 2 video, spoke about something that happened last week, a week ago tomorrow. But I'm not going to start off with that. I'm going to save that for last. And I'm only going to talk about that because it's to let y'all know why I haven't been on as much the last few months. And first thing I want to say is, if you're fanatical about basketball, not just 1 or 2 teams of the entire league, then being that there's only 2 or 3 months before the playoffs start, which is now a play-in tournament, which means it's going to be similar to baseball in the sense that they're going to have a few teams do wild card, and when those teams are finished, then the regular playoffs going to start. It's going to start a little bit earlier than it was in previous years because of that difference. So if you really like NBA, you watch all the games, and you may even record all the games to watch when you have time, because for a lot of people, if they have a job, because some people are disabled, so they have all the time to be at home to watch everything they like. So they need somebody who works to help them out. So if you like basketball, but you work, so you don't have the time to watch it, but you can afford to pay to record everything, then they cut the League Pass price in half. So for the rest of the season, you can do League Pass for $49.99, whereas before it was just $109.99. Don't ever want to question people's generosity, but I'm like this. Why not make it affordable when the season starts? I think that's probably why when I would look up on the NBA app, I would look up how much it costs to just follow one team. That's when I realized that's actually a better option in itself. So if I was working and I was really interested in watching basketball like that, I would subscribe to one team for the whole season. And I would follow the rest of the action on Sports Center. That's what I would do. Okay. Now, what I always do in moments like this is I look at the standings. Well, I was just looking at the standings, like I said, and I just realized I was right. Before I looked all the way down, I would see all the rankings, and I realized it is wins and losses that determine who is 1 and who is 15, because they have 15 teams in each conference. So it is the wins and the losses that determine each number in the standings. Now, because there's still at least 2 months before the playoffs, that's why they don't have any letters for eliminated or clinched or anything like that, because I don't think there's enough time to look at those standings in that way yet. The only sport that's about to start their season, is baseball. Baseball and basketball, I played one for fun, but the other one I always loved watching in person, because I used to watch my cousins play, and that was baseball. I did not realize how much I liked it until I started watching Major League Baseball on TV, and I started watching my uncle's favorite team, the New York Yankees, and I realized how much I liked baseball, period, because I would watch the Yankees, but I would watch any team that was playing on TV. So, and I remember my dad was like that with the NFL. He would even watch teams that he was not really a fan of, because he liked watching football. He wanted to see the competition, I believe. Now, the only news that I ordinarily, when I said my father liked, what I mean to say is, I'm going to save this for the end, but I kind of already made that mistake of alluding to it, so I feel the need to say it now. Tomorrow makes 7 days since my dad died, and my dad was suffering from this real bad health problems, and last Monday morning he passed away. And before that, I lost my uncle to a similar circumstance. And ever since I lost my uncle, it's been difficult to know what to do with my podcast. But I'm very happy and thankful that I have the option to record this, actually re-record this, to put this on YouTube. But when my father was alive, he enjoyed watching baseball and football, but he was a bigger football fan than baseball. Actually, he was a bigger football fan than he was even pro wrestling. Because I told my father that one day, that I knew he was not interested in it like he used to be, because he was always a bigger football fan than wrestling. And I was always a bigger wrestling fan than anything. So I like to watch sports because I like the, I like trying to learn things. And what I like about sports is how in athletics, how people can come together. It's kind of like coming together in coming together when you believe in, when you go to church, in other words, and that's what we call it, a congregation, because you get together with them and you worship God, and you enjoy God, and you enjoy each other's company. And when you look at it in that way, that's why people can look at sports, they claim not to believe in God, but they will look at sports and treat it like that is their church, because that is what they love to do. But what's different about church than about sports, a lot of people may not want to hear this, but it's the truth. In church, when you go to church for the sake of worshiping God, you are learning how to be focus less on yourself and more on people around you. That's what the difference is between worshiping God and worshiping what you watch. Because, as I heard one of my favorite Christian singers say, we have a God vacuum inside of us, but when we get connected to God, we no longer have to vacuum, because we no longer feel. He fills us. And that's why we when we go deep enough into the Word of God and into the Spirit, as we call it in the church, we are more willing to let go of temporary things, because we realize there's a higher calling and there's a greater purpose in our lives than these temporary things that we enjoy. And it's not that we don't like them, it's that we don't worship them. There's a big difference. Excuse me, I'm thirsty. So, that's one thing about MLB. I rarely ever see an advertisement on either TV or on the internet about MLB's network pricing. So I don't know if they offer a subscription to a team, like, for instance, let me digress for a second and go back to talking about basketball for a second. Because of keeping up with the WWE like I've been since they launched the WWE Network, and now TNA's doing it, and there's talks of All Elite Wrestling having a streaming service, and now NFL is doing it. Well, NBA, they offer League Pass as a stream, but what they do that's different than the NFL is the NBA offers a stream for just one team at a time, which is very different than what the NFL does from what I'm understanding. So I don't know how MLB could get into this, but streaming is very prevalent right now and very popular. I don't think there's any news about the rules. I don't think they made any rule changes recently. No, they still have the same rules that they had 2 years ago. Like, the pitch timers are the same, the shift restrictions are the same, the violations are the same. Adding 5 seconds to the clock with runners on is still the same. Or should I say it like this? With bases loaded, I think they add 5 seconds to the pitch clock. Shift restrictions, 2 infielders on each side of second base. However, the infielders need both feet on dirt at pitch release. Because they are different. They're similar to football in the sense of how they make the field. So the field, they actually added 3 inches of diameter to the bases. They added 3 inches, where instead of it being 15 inches, it's 18 inches in width. And I did read this before that. Not only did the larger bases reduce injuries in the minor leagues, and in MLB, I believe that's what we call AAA, but they also reduced concussions also in bases. So even though I wasn't sure how the pitch clock was going to help, it wasn't just the pitch clock, it was everything combined with it that made it better. So that's why I'm glad I looked at it in this way, because rules always make the biggest difference. I believe we have, today is the 9th, so we may have a little under 2 weeks away before the first preseason game called spring training game. And I watch spring training because I want to know what to expect from the season itself. That's why I used to like to watch preseason with my father and mother. So what I try to do is I try not to watch that much preseason, because unlike the NFL, they have several games throughout the week. So I try not to watch too much preseason. However, I do try to watch enough of it to where I understand what to expect from the teams heading into the season. Okay. You go to schedules. Yeah, the first spring training game is going to be on a Thursday afternoon at 2:05 Central. The Chicago Cubs go against Los Angeles Dodgers. Their only struggle, though, for me, is that they don't have a lot of games. They don't have a lot of nationalized or televised games in the States, so I don't know for the beginning of spring training. I don't know how much I can see of it, but I will try my best. Like, I see things like the Yes Network, I think it's called, or the SNY Network, or even MARK, or FDSNWI, or GTV, or Yes, but I don't see anything for ESPN. So it's gonna take me a long time before I could see a spring training game. However, if NBC, SBA, or anything like that is something we catch here in Louisiana, may be able to see Kansas City go against San Francisco on the 8th of March next month. Out of curiosity, as I'm looking at this, I feel the need just to look up if MLB offers streaming. Does MLB offer a streaming subscription service? Yeah, this was from last year. Okay. So I would have to look up MLB Network. Okay, hold on for a second. I had to drink some more, and I thought the way it looked earlier was kind of bad, so I turned the cell phone so it wouldn't look strange. Can you either pay $6.99 a month for MLB Network plus at bat, or you can pay $5 and 99 cents a month just for MLB Network by itself. However, I don't think they offer anything for just one team, so that would be something to do research on. And because of losing my father, I haven't really, and I'm helping my mom help someone with their, with what they do in their house, so it's another reason I haven't been able to do the second part of my bonus video about the first ever World War III pay-per-view. Not pay-per-view, but the Battle Royal. But thank you to everybody who's been watching it so far. I don't know why, but on the iPad I can go live, but on the cell phone I need about 23 more. Let me restate that. I'm not supposed to mention that. I don't have the requirements to go live on my phone on YouTube yet. So I'm gonna pre-record these videos until I'm either on the desktop or until I'm on, unless I find out I can do it on my iPad right here in my hand. And what makes this different than the cell phone is definitely the settings. Okay, yeah. If you have an iPhone, then you tap YouTube and allow camera, microphone, and photo access. Okay. See if there's a difference here. Yeah, it's definitely the settings more than anything. I may not be able to go live, but I can record it, so that's what I'll do. So yeah, basketball may be different in how they offer subscriptions than baseball. But yeah, if you're a fan of Pelicans here in Louisiana, or maybe you're from Minnesota, if you're a fan of Memphis, I would look to see if you can subscribe to just the Grizzlies channel in NBA. That's what I would look into doing, because I really think streaming a team instead of having to pay for an entire network is a good idea, especially if you're on a limited income. I'm hoping that by hitting this I won't be asked to pay anything, but all I'm looking to do is just to look. Oh yeah. $6.99 a month for ad bet, or $5.99 a month. Possibly only one. Actually, I can't really say what it's about. But the greatest thing about these streaming options is that you can do a free trial. You don't have to pay for anything right away. And even though I am a fan of baseball and I've been watching it for years, I never got in the habit of being signed into these. So that's one thing that I'm learning right now, is that you have to be very careful. Be very careful how you choose these things. Well, I do have an account with them. Okay. Now, we're talking about this. We look at NHL.com. So, there's no games. NHL doesn't have any games tomorrow. or Tuesday, but Wednesday they have a matchup called Nations, where the country of Canada goes up against Sweden, and they continue. I shouldn't say they continue. Whoever's putting these games together continues that. Four nations faced off. Canada and Sweden face each other, and whoever wins that wait until USA goes against Finland. Then that team goes against the team of Canada and Sweden, most likely. Huh. Okay. And okay, I'm completely. I don't know why they're doing this, but regardless of that, Finland's gonna go against Sweden next Saturday, and 7 hours after that, USA is gonna go against Canada. So I'm not sure why. Not sure. Not why. What it means for four nations face off. I don't know what the purpose is for that. Oh, okay, so it's a championship game. It's almost like what NBA started doing last year. NBA Cup. It's almost like a cup for. It's almost like an NHL Cup. So, 2 days after that championship game, which is to be determined, of course, on the 22nd, the regular games start back up. It's going to be. Detroit's going to go against a team called Wild. The Edmonton Oilers are going to go against Philadelphia Flyers. Pittsburgh Penguins are going to go against Washington Capitals on the same day. The New York Rangers are going to go against the Sabres. Florida Panthers are going to go against Craig Ken. Dallas Stars are going to go against the San Jose Devils, I believe. The Colorado Avalanche are going to go against the Predators. The Boston Bruins are going to go against the Anaheim Ducks. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to go against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Canadiens, with an E, go against the Senators. The Chicago Blackhawks go against the Blue Jackets. The St. Louis Blues go against I want to say Calgary Jets, but I'm not sure. All I know is that they too have a maple leaf in their symbol also, and I know they're a Canadian team because that hockey is pretty much a Canadian sport. The Canucks go against Golden Knights before that game. The Utah Hockey Club goes against the Los Angeles Kings. Okay. It's amazing. When I started watching the NHL, the only channel I used to be able to watch them on was either NBC or NBC Sports. I don't know what happened. I don't know The channel is called Now, but it's not NBC Sports anymore. And if there is an NBC Sports, it may not be a national TV station. So now TBS now has Max connected to it, so TNT, True TV, and Max all air NHL games together now. What's amazing to me is that I thought TNT stopped airing NBA, but no, they still air NBA on Thursdays, so I'm glad they didn't change that. I just wanted to see when the last game of the season is. No, wait. It's one thing about hockey. I don't know if there's a need. Baseball had a need to add a pitch clock or to make adjustments to the field because of the concussions. They get as many, if not more, concussions in the sport of baseball than in football. So I always understood why they needed to make adjustments. What I did not expect was how much better the pitch clock made the game, not because of the pitch clock, but because of the adjustments they made to the field to complement the pitch clock. That's what I thought is amazing when they added that. Yeah, I think one of the final games. Okay, I think the final game is going to be April 5th. Okay, not sure now. April 17th might be the final day for the game. Yes, that's the final game, all right. That's final day, all right. I just seen, and I know you have to take these shows sometimes with a grain of salt because, not to be cynical, I believe anything is possible. But sometimes when you watch a show that is by nature predetermined, like wrestling, you're not sure how much of this is written in to get people's attention and how much of it is true to life. So I was watching a clip from a new show they're going to do on A&E, WWE that is, called Legends and Future Greats. And this is why I wasn't sure if it was real life or not, because even though I do know this person in real life could probably admit to being a jerk in real life, but the person that they were doing in this episode of this series, at least a clip of it, they were doing almost like American Idol, except instead of singing, they were doing what's one of the most key things in wrestling, and that is talking. You get in there, I'm actually surprised they didn't have any microphones around, But this person was able to talk very well without a microphone. And this is part I wasn't sure if it was true life or not, if this was unscripted or not, because of how, today's society is. They don't know how to be respectful. They don't know how to wait until somebody lets you talk. They don't know how to be considerate. They don't know how to do that. So when he spoke and he should have just been quiet, that's, even though I know that's a possibility, it's real life, I don't know if it is or not, because it's called a reality show or reality-based series. So that's why I'm not sure if that's true to life or not. But regardless of it, I thought it was an interesting series. Just like, and this is on A&E. They do on A&E. WWE does a series about famous rivalries. They do a series about men and women in real life, what it took them to get to the WWE and things like that. They also have a series called Hidden Treasures. And for many years, there's been talk, because since about 1994, WWE's had a Hall of Fame. They didn't actively induct people in it until 2004. So really in 2004, they started to annually induct members in their Hall of Fame. So I'm not sure how long ago they actually spoke about how they leased a building to build the Hall of Fame museum in. And so Hidden Treasures is about stars, wrestling stars, finding some of the most famous and some of the most popular merchandise for wrestlers that the WWE needs to put in their warehouse. And I loved it because it was a very interesting show. So one episode with my dad once, where they were looking for someone's famous coat that he wore in the biggest show of the year. And this man, not only an artist in the ring, he's an artist he is a legitimate artist. He paints all the time, and I thought, that's amazing. So things like that I like to see on A&E, because I've always been interested in documentaries, and I think it's probably why when I interviewed a few men from wrestling, that was the topic behind the scenes. So I just thought I would share that as I'm talking about this. And I'm not talking about the Super Bowl because I'm recording it and I want to see it later on to talk about it. But what I will say is, I find it interesting that Patrick Mahomes said a few days ago that when he was asked how he would feel if the president of the United States, regardless of who it is, but in this case, it's number 45. And I'm doing that because I don't want to be blocked here on YouTube. So when he was asked about it, he said it would be cool because that would be the first time a sitting elected president would be at the Super Bowl. I don't have anything against the Super Bowl. I like championship games. As a matter of fact, outside of WWE WrestleMania or Total Nonstop Action Bound for Glory, I like to see the playoffs that lead to the World Series as well as the World Series. I love seeing the NBA playoffs and the finals of the NBA. And I love to see the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Stanley Cup finals. So I don't have anything against the championship game. What I would have a problem with is how they treat the halftime like a parade. That is like they do a little bit too much. So that's why I record instead watch it, because I would rather watch the game and fast forward to the halftime, because I think the halftime is a little bit too much. This is how I say it. When you're watching something that is a show like wrestling, well, them turning it into a parade is a formality. But when you see that in football, and this is a sport, it cheapens the game because it's a sport, not a show. So even though I don't like how they do the over the top stuff in wrestling because it's become overkill, I don't like that any more than I like it in football, but I accept that they feel they need to do that in wrestling because it's already a show in itself. So really, the way I see it is, there's some necessities and there's some things that are not necessary. It's not necessary to turn halftime into a spectacle. One of my favorite matches in the WWE today, because I like the Battle Royal, the cage match, Hell in a Cell. I like matches like that because because of the unpredictability of it. But I like Elimination Chamber because you don't know who's going to come out. It literally is as random as you can get for today's day and age. So I look forward to the Elimination Chamber. I look forward to the first Intercontinental title defense of Lyra Valkyria. I really like what they're doing with the mid-card. The women's mid-card titles. I just hope that they make the men's mid-card titles even with the women. Matter of fact, I hope, now that Triple H has full say, I hope that they add the sport-like elements like wins and losses in the rankings. That's what they're called. I hope they institute a ranking system, because that's what helps you care about the championships. You don't see it as just about that somebody carries. No, you see the importance of it, the relevance of it. Now some people like The Miz or trying to think who else. Chelsea Green, before she even was the U.S. champion, she already made you care about the title because of how she treated it. So there's some people that can make you care about the title without looking at rankings. The rankings are what makes you care if it's defended or not. That is how relevant rankings are in wrestling. And I probably like mixed martial arts and boxing and kickboxing. I probably like it for that similarity because wins and losses matter in fighting. So that's why I hope Triple H institutes a ranking system for NXT, Raw, and SmackDown stars. Because it really makes you care more about the titles, and you don't focus so much on character development because it's about what they're striving for. So that's why that gets me excited. Because you no longer feel like, oh, it's just a show. No, now it's going back to the roots when you do that. Thank you and goodbye.